Well, let's go to YouTube and we'll see. Are we streaming? Are we live? Let's have a look. Oh, that's interesting. Yep. Okay, and then we'll see. Switch account. Do 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 do. Ba-do boo 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 boo. Boom ba-do boo boo ba-do. Oh, look at that. I'm live. There I am. Okay. Oh, wow, that's squished. Hold up. Let's just fix that shit. Yeah. Oh. No. Cancel. I'm so bad at this. Hold up. Yeah, done. Why is that doing that? That's so janky. Right, let's just look at this. Let's do this. Right. Let's unfull screen this because that's just rubbish. Okay. I'm so bad at this. Well, I'm good at there's certain things in this world that I'm very good at, and there's other things that I'm really, really bad at. And I think streaming is one of them. I have no aptitude for it. Okay. Okay. All right. We're there. So, the point of this video. Hello there. Oh, someone's watching. Is that me? Am I watching? Is that me? That's me. That's me watching myself. Right. Okay. So, well, Streamlabs is kind of bad on Mac, isn't it? I've only really streamed on Windows mostly. Let's get that chat and view. There's some maniac watching. Probably isn't. Wouldn't blame them. Wouldn't blame them. So yeah, what we're doing today is, right, I'm doing this sort of live in stream format. I've got my Guinness. I've got I've got my Guinness. I've got everything I need here for the next sort of 30 minutes or so, I guess, to do the thing I was going to do. So I'm going to be comparing mostly components and symbols in Sketch. So versus Figma. So I've got a little bit of a working theory. So full disclosure, right? 6 months ago, I was like, nope, for my personal work, I'm moving back to Sketch. Figma have done some really weird stuff recently. I don't really like the company. The product's getting worse. It's getting really buggy. UI3 is a bit of a disaster. The AI focus is horrible. And also now it's released, I've tried it. It's absolutely terrible. I'm going to do a video going over my overall experience of the last 6 months, but I just wanted to sort of do a little for my own sanity. So in my day job, I'm using Figma still. And yeah, in the evenings, I'm using Sketch. And I find myself increasingly in the evening missing Sketch in my day job. So I'm a product owner by trade, so I spend a lot of my time in Figma still. I am technically a decision maker in my business, so I could move the company over to Sketch again if I so desired. I don't necessarily think it's ready, but I think there might come a time pretty soon where it is. So the setup here is basically I'm going to make the same component in both. And the reason for doing this is kind of like a little sort of theory of mine where I think the thing I miss is brevity in Sketch. Sketch is actually quite quick, right? To get things done, it's quite fast. And I'm by no means like a pro with Sketch. Again, I'm using it not a great deal compared to my time in Figma. But I increasingly, during the day, find myself thinking about this would be nice for Sketch. Because there are more tools in Figma, there just are. And there's fewer tools in Sketch. And it's not to say that there's nothing you can't do, whatever. Like, there are things you can do in Figma that you can't do in Sketch. That's just the truth of it. However, how often that is, how often you truly need to do that, I'm not so certain how often that is. It might be less than we try and tell ourselves. And the thing with Figma is Figma's like a big unstructured box of stuff that you can do stuff with, right? Which has both pros and cons. But the con is generally it hides complexity at times, right? And some things can be quite fiddly. Whereas Sketch, you have more thought through, considered workflows and how you achieve a thing, which means a lot of the time it's easier to kind of reason about once you're done. Not all the time. I'm not saying that's the case. Your mileage may vary, but it's a thing that can be a thing, right? It can happen. So I'm going to make the same scenario in both, and we're going to see how they differ, which one's better, which one's worse. We use some auto layout versus smart layout. One thing to note is Sketch, by the time I think the next major version out, Sketch will probably have their own version of auto layout, something they're called stack layouts. It looks really good, basically. It looks really, really good. But they've done a few things in the meantime in the current beta, which is what I'm running here, which might look a little bit different. But we're not really going to touch much of it. But if you have used Sketch recently, there's nothing secret here. It's all public. Some things might look a little bit unfamiliar, but they'll be coming out soon. Anyway, let's crack on. I'm going to some Guinness. I was going to record this as a video before, and I tried twice, and both times I delivered everything I just said, but about 37 times better than I just did. Anyway, it's fine. It's good. So, yeah, basically what I make is like a really simple card component. So imagine like a Kanban card. So I have a card, I might have a little icon thing on it, like a little, whatever, a little badge, and then some words. Words! And we're going to do both of those. I'm going to see how they differ, the default workflow, okay? So there's also an edge case so let's try out in Figma. We're going to do it in Figma first, because that's where most people are familiar. So we're going to draw ourselves out we're going to do the little badge thing first. So we make it about 20 pixels high, something like that, I don't know. And then, sorry if you can hear my keyboard. And then we're going to write the word word, because why not? Center that. Okay. And then we're going to change this to 100, give ourselves a rounded corner on here. And then up here, we are going to change the background to red, and then we're going to change the fill of this to white. I'm going to add an auto layout. There we go. That part is done. And then what we're going to do is we want a variant. We're going to have a bit of flip this over and have a green one, right? So we're going to change this into a component. We're going to go to properties, and we're going to add a variant. Boop. We'll call our property, I don't know, state. And then this one is going to be, where are you? State, bad. This is going to be state good. Look at that. And we can tell it's good because the fill is going to be green. There we go. The best work. And we'll call this guy badge. There we go. Fine. Cool. Right. We've made our component. And then we're going to make the card it goes onto, right? So we're going to grab an instance of this, go to assets. I'm not doing it necessarily the fastest way, but we're doing it in a way it's easy to follow. And then we'll put our word on here. Words, what's that? 12 pixels, and make that one 14 pixels, because why not? Didn't do it. Come back over here, we'll make it 14 pixels high, and then we'll do an auto layout on here as well. And then we will give this a background, make it like a light bluey grey, because I don't know. No, always make it white. Change my mind. We'll give it a little bit of radius, 8 pixels, and we'll put a little shadow on it. That's too much for shadow. You are silly. Let's make that one 10%, and then that one is done. Cool. And then we come into here, and then we're going to make a stack of these. So we'll grab one of. Let's give us a name. Actually, let's give this a name. We'll call this one Dave. There we go. Fantastic. And then we'll round this into a component, and then we're going to make this into, and let's grab this one out here. We don't want it. This is a thing that I don't love in Figma, is the default to having your stuff just, you'll see in Sketch in a minute, this works differently, and I kind of prefer it. So we've got a few of these, do like, I don't know, 4, and then we'll set these to be 8 pixels apart, because that's a good round number, and then we'll press Shift A, and we'll put that in an auto layout, and now we can do the auto layout thing, whatever. And we've got our variant of Oh, that's our little flip. So yeah, we go into one of these versions, grab that, boop. So yeah, this is the thing in Figma, we'd have to press like command to like find the thing inside, and then we can change our state from bad to good. And then also we can, I didn't hook that up, let's hook that up quickly. We'll do a little text override on here, call that on text. Should have done this first really, hook that up to the same text. There we go. And then now we can come in here and then we can command click, and then we can go into here and we can change the word to, I don't know, banana. Right, so we're finished. That was fast, wasn't it? So how is this different? So let's look at what we've got. We've got an auto layout, which we can do auto layouty stuff in. We can change the space between them. We can add new ones, whatever. And let's just double check our auto layout here. This is set to hug. We'll do fill container. That's probably the right thing to do. And then we'll just do some space between, leave it auto, and we'll put 12 on the sides and 8 on top. There we go. Wonderful. That's how you do that in Figma, right? But yeah, when we're coming into working with the layout, so if we're going to get to like the override on here, it's like it's fiddly. I always find it quite fiddly. And we've got a variant already, and there's a few different ways we could have done this, right? We could have put the variant on here. One thing I would probably do, like you have as an instant swap, you have icons and have this be an instant swap, and there's some edge cases where instant swaps don't work quite the way you want. Let's go over to Sketch and do exactly the same thing. So we're going to do this with a frame, with an artboard. So one thing that's new in Sketch, let's make this one, I can't remember what it was before, let's just say it's 20 pixels. I think it's 20 pixels. Yeah, one thing that's new in this version of Sketch is I don't actually need to, if you go back a ways, you'd remember the old way of working in Sketch, you'd have to have like a rectangle background and then create a symbol around that, and then the background. Don't have to do that anymore. You can just do it the same way as Figma and have an artboard. I can set my rounded corners on my artboard and just do it like that. So let's make this one red, put our word in, word, there we go. And then we are going to do fit. And this works a little differently because right now, something like that, probably doing this in a slightly stupid way, whatever. Let's make them two bigger, and then we'll center this again. Boop, there we go, right. And then we'll just add a bit more on top. I should have probably remembered what we're doing. Anyway, there we go, that was good enough. Right, so we've got this, and then the workflow diverges here, right? So we've got our first badge, let's call this one badge. Again, badge. And then in Sketch World, it's nesting all the way down, right? So if now we want to make our good version, we'll do this after the fact, but I'll duplicate this, right? And I'll make this one green. So badge, this isn't like necessarily the best way to do this, but it's a way to do this. There you go, that'll do. And yeah, what we're going to do, Command Y, and this is the difference in workflow with creating symbols in Sketch versus components in Figma. We can, it's a bit messy at the minute actually. The way they've done it is a bit messy. So if I create this from an artboard, I press Command Y, it'll just let me do it here and now, and I'll just do badge, press create, and then it's created my my artboard, my symbol is here, right? And the same again with this, do the same thing again. But if I'd done this with a group, it would have automatically sent to a symbols page. Oh, I've got an old symbol in here, nice. But yeah, I can just right click this and be send to symbols page, send to symbols page. If I'd done this the other way and done this with a rectangle and I made this into here, it would say send symbol to symbols page, it would send it away and then replace it with an instance. This workflow I really like, but it doesn't do it with artboards. I've mentioned this to the Sketch people and they told me to shut up. No, I'm joking. Like I put my case forward. I think there's a worse way of doing it. They should be consistent. Anyway, so we don't have variants, right? So I've made two copies, and what I'm going to do is just namespace them, right? So I'll do badge, bad, and badge. Good, badge, good. Okay, and I'll create my new containing frame guy. Keep pressing F. And then, yeah, same thing again. I can't remember what I had, let's say 4 pixels, and then put a little shadow on it. And you can see here, something else I like in Sketch is we've got, you get slightly, 10% I think I did. You get slightly more information density on the right hand side, which I really like. Also, I prefer this. It's long screen. The little command bar for pulling in stuff. It's nice. So we're going to also add our word on here. Okay, we'll make that one black. Is it black on the other one? I can't remember. It had the word words though. So we'll do words. Ooh, 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 ooh. Words. Words. There we go. And then I can't remember what I did with any of this. These are both very different. Whatever. It's close enough. That was 8 and 7. So make it 8, and then we'll do 6 and 8 on top. So we'll make this one a couple of pixels taller. There we go. 34. We'll just space all this out. Boop, boop. Pow. There we go. Pow. Doing this in the stupidest way ever. There we go. Right. Painful to watch, I know. So we don't have, so we go back to Figma, we don't have our auto layout here because there aren't auto layouts in Sketch yet. There will be. So if I come on here and I've got my override, it just auto layouts. But that scenario is accounted for really well in Sketch with something called layouts. So this is smart layout. So let's just left to right because why not? And basically smart layout is like a really like unfussy version of smart layout, of auto layout. So basically it's different in that it let me sip my gas. In that basically it takes whatever your current spacing is and just maintains it. So if I duplicate this out here and I bring this back into here, that's not fucking doing, is it? Hang on. Oh no, I can't remember. Anyway, it maintains the spacing of the thing you've got. Anyway, long story short, I've got the same thing here. But this is where something's just become much quicker in Sketch, right? Because, do you see that? I've already got my override. I haven't had to hook anything up to get that. I get that for free. And also, my switching works. And it's right here. It's a little bit more whatever. So if I go over to Figma, I can do this as well. So I can go to badge and I can, you know, whatever. Well, no, I can't swap over a badge. But if there was a hypothetical badge 2, I can do this. I can go badge 2. Oh, no, I can't. Oh, that swaps the outer, doesn't it? Exactly. So, yeah. I've come to here. Sorry, I can still do this. Double click there and then make badge 2. Make it obvious that badge 2 is different. We'll make this one blue. There we go. So if we come to here, we'll command click and then we'll get our layer and we'll change this one to badge. That's the default workflow in Sketch. You don't really have anything else. So you have more tools, like I said before, but this is simpler. So we have not had to do anything. So yeah, this smart layout, this auto layouting just works automatically, and we have this exposed on the top layer. So if we come into here, we'll turn this into a thing as well. Of course, one card. And when you create one of these, you can create a layout on symbol creation. So left to right, this is worse, not gonna lie, but for the purposes of what we're doing, it's good. Right, so let's create a few variants. Let's create 8 of these. I like this. That's one thing I like a lot in Sketch, is that drag grid creation thingy. And then all we do is group it, and then we can do a, where are we? I've got my group selected, add a layout, vertical. And then I get my very similar smart layouting. And then I can do one of these. If I zoom in, it's a little bit fiddly, but you can see here, oh no, bugs. Bugs! Hang on. Is that going to work? Rectangle, put that in. Hang on, is this horizontal? It is horizontal, vertical. There you go. Get rid of that. Select the wrong one. Vertical, top to bottom. Right, so now if I get a rectangle, yeah, you see you've got these little gaps here. It shows you where it's about to go, and it basically maintains the spacing of whatever you set. So if I grab another one of these cards, obviously I can duplicate, but yeah, if I drag this, you can see it just goes in where it's supposed to go, delete it, it clears the space out. It does a lot of the things that also that kind of does, but it is worse. It's not as powerful. That's kind of all of it. You've just seen pretty much all of smart layout in one go. But for these sort of scenarios, actually, smart layout's really quick. And again, the thing that's quite cool here is there's a little checkbox on here where, yeah, so you come in here, and I've got my 2 text overrides already because the override workflow is different to the way it works in Figma. So if I want to hook up two things, this had like an instant swap inside for icons, let's say like a tick or a cross here. I have to go in and set all that, but here you kind of get that for free. So yeah, selecting this was working differently before. So ungroup that. Whatever, group. Whatever. So layout, vertical, yeah, top to bottom, there we go. Nice. So yeah, we not only get like the standard symbol swapping thing, the namespacing is pretty significant in Sketch, right? Where it isn't so much inside Figma. So both in the back, there we go. Yeah, so if I click on one of these, I have my top level. It automatically exposes my my overrides, because the way it works here is it's subtractive rather than additive. So if I go manage overrides, I can choose what I want to be able to override from here. So I can do it individually per aspect, I guess, which is quite nice. So it means that as it gets to this point, actually, and I was waffling a lot because I do tend to do that, you get less setup. And also, another thing, sorry, so inside here, if we want to change this, we have to command click, go to here, and then, you can do it from here, I think. Can you? You can't, yeah, because it's nested, yeah. So we come over here, click this, and then on badge, we change the state to bad. And then if we want this to be on the actual, you could even do, if you're a maniac, you could do properties, variant, and you could have like a good and bad on here, and then you could just like pre-select this and then change that to whatever, and then we'll just change that to, I can't remember, go to here, there we go, and we'll change this to state good. And you can have like on both, but that's, again, that's overkill, right? Coming back to here, let's go back, we don't have to do any of that, because straight away, there's a nested symbol in here already, right? And because it's not in the override, so we've got options on here as well, we can select one of these, we can see immediately, we've got badge good and badge bad, and we've just got the thing. There's less setup. And this is like I'm sorry if this is a bit of a mess, but yeah, this is like the base level of what you do a lot, right? In day in, day out. It's pretty common. So if we go to manage overrides, yeah, and we've got badge good, visibility, and symbol. So we turn that off, we remove the ability to swap the symbol. It's now hidden. Come back over here, manage overrides, turn it back on, there we go. And Sketch just sort of exposes the thing you need. So if there's more than one thing, it would expose that too. So let's test this a little further. So what we're going to do, we're going to come in and we're going to do some icons, which I should get from Tinternet, because I can't be asked. Noun project, because I'm a cool guy. A noun project was cool about 10 years ago, and that was... I perpetually live 10 years behind the zeitgeist. It's going to load. Oh, this font's awesome. Because it works. I used to be like such a naysayer of font awesome, and in recent years, you know what, I've started to really like it. So we're going to do check. Oops. Check. We're going to, can I copy the SVG? Copy code snippet. Copy. Thank you. I should be able to paste in. There we go. Paste in the SVG. There we go. I've got big check, and then what else have they got? Let's do a check, and then let's do a, I don't know, minus, because I can see it. So lazy. Right, yeah. And then we'll do this. Oops. We'll do this. Whoops. Go here. Where are you? There you are. Hello. Yeah, so we've got two things here, and then these are obviously ginormous. Let's just make these smaller. Let's make this one, and let's put these on. No, let's just do it like this. Why not? Let's be lazy. 32 pixels. No, 18. 18 pixels, and we'll make this one. I didn't bother checking the largest dimension on that, but whatever. I'm sure it'll be fine, or not. All good. Right, yeah, so we're going to do the same thing here. Let's copy both of these. I'm going to go back into Figma, and we'll paste these in. No. See, this is what I don't want. Let's paste these as images. And also, I don't want the fucking AI stuff. fine. Delete that. Delete the frame for it. Copy that in again. I don't. Yeah, see the little AI bullshit sneaking its way into regular Figma. It's part of the reason why. I think what might be happening here, I might be wrong, is I think a lot of people are doing the thing that I did. Not throwing their toys out of the pan and quitting, but and also this. Do I think, you know what I mean? Anyway, they're not using the AI stuff. It's a sort of a trend across the board right now, right? Like, company do AI thing, no one want AI thing, so they're forcing it down your throat because actually none of it's that useful. Arguably, in like the sort of creative world, I would say that what's the name? The new fill, like intelligent fill thing in Photoshop is actually really useful. There's other stuff like I use DaVinci Resolve a lot. I use for the fusion part of it for compositing, and like the smart, like there's a bunch of smart stuff there. Like they've got Magic Mask in there, which is fantastic. These are utilities. They're not like wholesale. Let me generate you a thing, which is kind of the really dumb way to execute AI for creators. It's more like, hey, a little utility. It does one thing really well. The generative fill thing in Photoshop, I think most professionals aren't generating themselves a whole chunk of work because the results are garbage. 9 times out of 10, probably what they're doing is just extending images, because that's such a big thing when you used to edit photos. It's like, it's this big, but I need this much over here to put a thing in, to reframe it. It's a ridiculously common thing. Or like, oh no, there's like this little blemish in this part of the image. I can't be bothered to, do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. You do it 30 times a day. And yeah, if a little tool can make that faster, that's actually really useful. It's not going to be making you whole pictures because it's crap. And it always will be. Don't get me started on AI. Anyway, so yeah, we're turning these to components. So we'll do this one, and we'll call this one yes. Of course, one. So what we're going to do, we'll grab a copy of each one of these, and then we're going to put these into here. Let's look at this. Boop, 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 boop. I thought you were an auto layer already. Are you? You are. There we go. And then we're going to make this just go to fit. Oops, wrong button. Fit. There we go. And we're going to come back up. I'm going to grab this guy. I'm going to grab him in here. Cut that. Paste that in there. We'll put it at the bottom. There we go. And we'll just put the gap at 4, because why not? There we go, fine. And then we'll make this white. Both scenarios, we'll make it white. There we go, nice. And in here, what we're going to do is we're going to hook this up, just for my sanity's sake, don't know why, to a swap. So of course an icon, and let's just pretend we have more icons than this, right? Let's just pretend. Cool. We good? We're pretending. So come into here now. And then we can go from yes to And if we namespace this, I'll call this one, I think icons? Icon? Yeah, let's do icon / and then we'll do icon This now should work just fine. So come to here, and it should detect the nesting of there it does, the nesting of the icons. So then it just knows to look inside this folder. Very clever. So I can click on here and then do, icon, change to good, keep the icon as it is. And if I do an override on, no, I won't do an override. Anyway, there's that. So we go into Sketch, we'll do the same thing. And then, where are we? We're over here. So I'm going to grab that, Command Y, grab that, Command Y. I forgot to name them because I'm dumb. And then we go to symbols, and I'm going to call this one, we're going to namespace this as well. We'll call this one icon, yes, and then icon, icon, There we go. I don't think much of this is going to be shocking because, like, you've got what is it? Use your words. You've got Figma sort of like effectively back in the day, kind of like, you know, what's a nice way of putting it? Copied Sketch's homework. I guess is probably a nice way to put it. So this is where this gets worse because we haven't got an auto layer here, and also these icons are like shit anyway. But yeah, we haven't got an auto layout on here, so we can't automatically do the spacing, which is crappy. And I am absolutely looking forward to the stack layout thing, which you haven't seen. Looks really fucking good. Looks really good. I'm swearing a lot, sorry, but yeah, it looks really good. Let's do that. These look so nice. That's so perfect. Look at that. Can you tell I'm professional? Look at that. Look at them skills. And yeah, we can see here we've got one of our first problems here. We can sort of fix this. We can do one of these. Put this up to here. What was it? What was our spacing again? 8. Yeah, there we go. Let's do that. 8 pixels, and then we can just do like the old school thing, pin to edge, and then now if we go to here, whatever, it's like, oh, they're buggered. Let's just do this quick. Let's fix these icons, select those, and we'll just do edit source, come to here, and then we'll go into here. Yeah, grab our path, do fix size, same here as well. We'll do fix size, come back to here, and then now if we do a little stretchy stretch, it won't break. Yay! But yeah, we see we've got the relative positioning thing going on there. It's not perfect, guys. It's not perfect. So yeah, but yeah, now so if we go into here now, going back to my actual point is, yeah. So we have to go in here. We can still do our little swappy swap. But we have to set it manually, and here we don't. It gets picked up once again. So it says, oh, you've got a little swap. You've got a nested symbol. The workflow is simpler, right? So now, without having to double click in it, also, it bubbles up. It's based on those overrides, so it'll bubble up to the parent mode. So I haven't had to set this up specifically on here. And I don't have to like, so if I go back over to Figma, I can do this from here because I've set it up specifically. But if I come over to Sketch, I can turn this off, but I've got it already. So it already knows that, well, Badge Good has a nested icon, and that's its namespace, right? And when it changes colour there, which is to be expected, we come to here, and there's an edge case in Figma land where you can't actually do this. I can't remember the way to set it up, but yeah, if I just do this thing called tint, basically says, like, just put this on top of whatever the base color is. It's a really nice little feature. I didn't get it at first, and I got it recently, where it's like irrelevant whatever thing the color thing's supposed to be. Just in this scenario, just make it this color instead. When you say tint, you say, oh, sorry, yeah, add a tint. A tint just means, yeah, in this scenario, this thing's always red, innit? And then if I go back to here now, see how that inherits. Whereas there's scenarios where you can actually, if you like namespace it wrong, or I can't remember, like I've run this bug recently. If you namespace these icons wrong, or if they come from an external library, you can break the ability to override a nested symbol inside Figma. It's definitely a bug, but at the minute they're not really fixing bugs. This is very annoying. So there's that part of it. I think like that's the difference in workflow, and if we look at it. And again, we can replicate this entire work. And let's do that quickly in Figma. In the Figma, we will drag that out, and then of course badge bad, badge good. There we go. Right, we can. This will still work, right? Dave, yeah. So there we go. But actually, now we have to go back in. Yeah. See, so with the same amount of work. Let's go back in. So on the top level card component, we don't get access to that. But if we come up to here, and then we'd have to set this as like a, where are we? Yeah, instant swap, course one, bill. There we go. And then now from here, we can swap bill from good to bad. And we're in the same spot, effectively. So we do have this workflow available to us in Figma, right? It's the same thing, technically. Autolayer absolutely wins this because look at that. Way better. I can break this if I come back into my little guy over here. I should be able to break this pretty easily. because, yeah, I think, actually, am I doing that right? Let's have a look. We've got this guy here. Stuff. So smart layout is definitely worse, but there's something very pure about the purely nested stuff workflow that is actually super duper. Let's do horizontally centered layout here. That's super duper appealing, right? Because yeah, like I've already got my little guy. Let's resize this. What happens? Yeah, see, that is rubbish. So what else do we get inside our auto layout, our smart layout? Adjust content and resize. There's minimum width, which is useful. So it means you can't go past a certain smallness. But there are definitely scenarios where I've actually really quite liked using smart layout. But overall, yeah, it's definitely a step down. But yeah, there's part of this nesty workflow. Let me just see if this window opens. Let's just go to. Is this still correct? I think. Let me just quickly turn my screen off. I don't know how to do that. Hey, just in case. Is that gonna work? That is gonna work. This is a slightly more real file. It's like a little doodle I was working on, right? It's just like a little drawing for a thing I might eventually make. It's like a pinboard app, but it's chaotic, right? So it's like throwback design to like 2007, you know, when computers are fun. And I thought the idea of like having it like be multiplayer, so you could like steal pins from each other and sort of thing. But yeah, how I've kind of done this is a bit of prototyping here as well. But yeah, the way these are set up, it's actually quite nice because all my components are here. And I've just combined them creatively rather than like adding layers of complexity. Because like also, if you look at like a real world example of what a variant actually looks like, it's not one or two things, right? It's like a dozen. And you can, yeah, it's like a dozen, right? Or more. Like if I create like a button component, right? I've got like, you know, button, I have different color variants, different size variants. Then I've got active states, hover states, etc., etc. All these things to swap through. You end up with like a big old matrix. And some of those things and that workflow do get better in Sketch as well, in a way. Again, because of the simplicity of it, it kind of does them all better. So if we go on one of these little like card things, here we go. So, boop. Am I in? Yeah. So, oh, why does that come up there? Oh, that's my interaction, right? So, yeah, if we go here, we've got like my card. I've got the things I know I can do. So I can change my pin color. So I've got a yellow one. There's something broken on there. Hang on. Boop, 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 boop. Also, there's this view. I love this view. This is like your component view, where you can kind of like, get rid of that, where you can kind of see a contact card of everything you've got. It's a really nice way of viewing things. And the workflow for bringing stuff in via this menu, so much nicer. And having this. So what I've just done there is there's a little thing saying adjust content on resize and also one saying available as override, which I should have, sorry. Yeah, but I don't have available to insert. Yeah, no, I shouldn't have to do that either. Let's turn it off. Right, so available as override is basically saying it will appear in override menus. Available to insert means it will appear in this insertion menu. So now I don't have that showing, which is how like the underscore thing in Figma. It's a little bit different though because you can prevent like, yeah, you can separate them. I think, can you do that in Figma? I've never thought about that actually. If I have, so if I do underscore badge good, it won't appear in my, well it will, but let's just do underscore badge good, and then that just indicates it's like not important. It's different. It's different. You don't get it, guys. And if I do this, if we do, yeah, so good no longer appears. Yeah, so come into here. Yeah, then it won't appear in my override anymore. Thought so, yeah, works the same way. Apart from I've got two ways of doing it, right? So this is just like don't appear. If I go into insert, It does still appear, doesn't it? Yeah, I can still insert it here, so you can't remove them there. I can do both in Sketch. And I've got a nice view. It would be good if there's some sort of like visual indicator on here to show. I might feed that back to them to show when they're overridden, because like I hate magic. Not magic. I hate like mysteriously, you need to know where you click to make something happen, or you need to go check in a place meticulously. I hate those little sort of things, which Figma's full of, especially when it comes to like working with variables in Figma. It's horrible. Have you done it? You like it? What's wrong with you? It's worst. Anyway, coming back to this. So yeah, I can change my pen color, and my paper type. And obviously that works exactly as you expect it to, right? We're not setting any worlds on fire here, but I don't know. As little setup as this takes. So I've got my top level. I've got empty slot versus whatever slot. That's got some old shit behind it. Go with that. We're gonna do this. Because I'm stacking them. So yeah, you've got your top level symbol which swaps. It picks not only based on namespace but also same size. So if you've got something, so if it isn't namespaced, you can, if it's like the same size bounding box, Sketch will filter out those ones unless you say untick this, and then it will like allow you to swap like symbols of different sizes. And there's something about this that I didn't think I missed. In fact, like same as you and everyone else, when I like started playing with things like variants when they came out, I was like, this is really cool. But then you forget about all of those times where you sit there, right, and you've got like an array, a grid of shit that's like, I'm swearing constantly, I'm very sorry, but you've got a massive grid, right? Let's just say we've got this massive grid away. That's not even that big, right? Let's say we've got this many variants, okay, which is, I've had more, right? Give it a little tidy. Yeah, and then this one I've accidentally duplicated, right? So then I get that little thing which says your variants share a property. You done fucked up. So let's do this for realsies. Actually, let's do this. Let's create a thing, call it rectangle. We're going to turn it into a component. We're going to go to properties, variant, add one, add another, add another, add another. And this one, these all have property, but these ones are going to have like, let's call this one, I don't know, 2. This one's also 2. And then straight off now, we're going to have conflict. But then also I can like click this and see what ones have the conflicts. But when you've got multiple, like things, so if I come into here and add a new property, I'm going to call this one like whatever, stuff, right? And then this one's whatever, stuff, add new, and right. So now make this one property 2, make that one property 2, right? So now we've got these conflicting variants, and we've only got 2 dimensions here, right? I've had this happen with like 5, 6 different properties, and suddenly this, I've spent ages ages fixing this, just like hunting them down, right? It's not the end of the world, you only do it once and technically you're done forever. But like, also you've got all of these individual pieces to manage, right? And then you go like, well, what should I nest? What should I inherit? You can do it any number of ways, but when that gets stripped away from you, and literally we'll go to the symbols in here, right? And the setup's really simple. Get rid of that. It's distracting. So I've got bounty fill, filled, bounty fill, empty slot, and then bounty, right? Bounty contains bounty fill filled. That's my default. So then that then selects from its sibling. And then inside filled, I've got a pin. So I come over to pin, which is over here for some reason. Let's put these over yonder. Come over to pin, and then pin doesn't have to pin anything in it. No, it doesn't. But on here, if we go to bounty paper, right? Bounty paper has a color, right? You getting where I'm going with this? You see, get what I'm putting down. So then this is then attached to the paper color, okay? And then pin is on here. Pin is separate, so I can choose paper, which has the corresponding nested pin shadow, which they used to be nested to each other, not anymore. But yeah, and then we've got pin. So just by doing this, I've dragged in 3 layers, and then I've got, I don't see if you're getting what I'm putting down here, but yeah, I'm done. And if there is a layer nested, it will just appear. So if I decide that I want to have I did this green pin the other day, but let's say I want to have like a slightly different blue pin, right? I do blue 2, and let's make this like, I don't know, make the fill like that blue. That's a gradient. That blue to like, there we go. The top's different. I can't be bothered anymore, right? And then immediately, I've just got blue 2. Right? And with all the like, again, there's only 2 dimensions here. We've only got like paper and pin type and then text, but you can see what I'm getting at, right? Like these combinations, it's actually less work. And it's just here. And also, these aren't children. They can use these elsewhere. And I'm not saying there's like scenarios where, yeah, like the whole setup, let's go with that. The whole setup with, you know, I'm not naive, but the whole setup with, yeah, using variants and making more complex individual components isn't better or necessary. Sometimes it just is. But how often is that, right? How often is it a case of it's absolutely necessary versus you've actually made something kind of complicated? I'm going to give you another one. Right, and there's a bug in the current version of Sketch. So let's close that and go back to here. So let's say, right, that I have, let's do a button. So go back into Figma, right? We've got a button, we've got 2 colors and whatever. Yeah, we've got our button colors as variants. You can do some layer styles as well, but I can't remember the last time I touched the layer style in Figma. I'm pretty sure we can do it that way. So should we test this? Should we call this button? It's not a friendly rectangle. Get out of it, you. Get out of it. We'll do a frame, and then we'll call this one button. Why not? But yeah, button. And then we'll just do our standard thing. We'll make this one. Let's choose purple because everyone likes purple, and give that a like 12 pixel radius. Who knows? Who knows why we do things? Button, and then we'll just center that like so. It's a nice little lovely little button. This is your world. You can do whatever you want with your buttons. Make that 16 pixels, and we'll do this, and then we'll make sure that's centered. That's centered. There we go. Wonderful. And let's just make it an auto layout because you know we're cool like that. So when I turn this into a component, I can. Let's have a think about it. So when's the last time I did a layer style? So I'd normally do variants, and I'd have like a so local styles, color, of course one button red, that's not red, that's red, what are you doing? And then create another one, of course one, oh that's just multiple fills, right, there we go, create style, button red, and then what we're going to do, that's a bug, that's definitely a bug, local style, color, I'm going to course one button purple. I'm going to make that one the purple we've already got. There we go. So when I come to fill, there we go. So I do button red, and then I'll make this into a component, and I'll grab out. See, I never do this anymore. Weird. And now I can do button purple. Yeah. I never think of doing that, and I don't know why. Or have I just made a colour? Yeah, I have. Wait, oh no, okay. Because, yeah, so that's not a layer style, it's a colour style, isn't it? Yeah, so I'm not sure layer styles actually, yeah, I got confused for a second. I was like, that's like, feels familiar. It's just a colour style, what am I talking about? Right. I was like, oh, it's exactly the same as using colour styles. It's because it is. I don't know if layer styles still exist inside Figma. I'm sure they used to. So if we do the same thing here, right? So we'll create a artboard, and then we'll give this a radius. We'll make this 12, similar, right? And then what we'll do a layer style, right? Of course, one button purple. Okay. Right, got that. We're going to change this to some sort of purple. There we go. That's close enough. Update that. So that's purple, and we can still have like color fills here as well, right? But then I think if we did like, let's see what sticks on a layer style. I can't remember. So we'll do create another one. Of course, one button red. And then what we'll do is we'll change that to red, and then we'll update red. And then if you come to here, put some words on here, words, and then we'll just center that like that. And then we'll do this, and we'll do that, and then we're good. And then we come here and do that and press enter. Right, so dragging all those in. So now, yeah, we get our symbol. Oh yeah, because that's the bug. Sorry, that is the bug at the minute. So if I do this with a rectangle, so let's just go back to our artboard, right? It's a bug. They know about this already because I told them. So yeah, put this in the back. Let's put a background image on here. This is not normally how this works, but let's just do it this way. And then we'll come back into here. And there we go, we've got our layer style. So yeah, right now, the layer styles, if they're applied to an artboard, aren't exposed. You need an image inside, but they're aware of it. This is a beta. But yeah, it exposed our layer style. Let's see what we can attach to that layer style, right? So if we come to, let's just, so we can see it, right? And then we'll go back and we'll change this to purple. Okay. Okay. And then if we update the layer style, and then we change this from that to, let's just make another one. We'll make a green one just so we can see the changes, right? I'm going to create button green. Cool. And then if we go to here and we change this from button green to purple, what actually gets added and what's included? That's what I want to know. Include corners. Ah. So if I turn these corners right the way up, right, and then we update green, okay, and we'll go to green, purple. I'm confused. Oh no, there we go. Go to here, button, green. Oh, that might be a bug. Is that supposed to be on it? Anyway, yeah, you can do this with layer styles. So if I'm presumably if we have the including of the corners. Yeah. Right, so if I come here, obviously we can also save like a gradient style, but let's just make it obvious, right? So then if I update purple as a thing, that should also be, that should also be attached. Yeah. So again, that's kind of nice, isn't it? That is kind of nice. So because it exposes that layer style on top. So instead of having to go in and change the color manually, which you can still do, you can still override it and still make it, let's make it yellow. The layer style thing. I know people used to bemoan layer styles inside Figma, but actually mixing them together. So I can either set like a color and then override the fills, or IRL, what I probably would do is I'd make I'd probably do it like not necessarily, but there's a world where if they're just set colors and you don't want to expose them to someone, you just do like that, and you'd have like button, color 1 and color 2, whatever you want to call them, and then you just do, whatever. Color, there we go. Yeah, you do something like that. But yeah, it's interesting. I think the point I'm kind of getting at here when it comes to symbols versus components is there's this 9 out of 10 times you use simplicity, and again, I'm doing more in-depth work in Figma than I am in Sketch at the moment, and so I need to spend some time. I'm thinking about maybe doing this with a couple of spare work hours, recreating something real from the design system inside Sketch and pushing it a little bit further and seeing where the frustration comes up. Because none of these things are without frustration. But there's this thing at the minute which I keep going back to, where some of the more simplistic ways you do some of these things in Sketch, or the setups and the clarity of it, are more pleasant to live with. You know, every time like you've set up a component slightly wrong in Figma, which happens, we're all human, it does happen, or someone else does it. It's normally someone else. I'm perfect, you know. Your mileage may vary. I don't know about you, but I'm flawless. No, but what I'm saying is, like, yeah, you've got that. Oh no, that is working now. That was bugged out before. Okay. Oh right, that is working, and I've got my override there, so I get rid of that override, and then I think there's a bug. I might have to report that to the. Yeah, there's a bug there. See that? I'm in a beta version. So yeah, the corners come across. Anyway, the point is, I can make my buttons into layer styles, and then not have any of that hullabaloo. Could you make it just corners? I think I did a thing before and it was just corners. Anyway. Is that a thing? Should we investigate, gang? Let's make a new one. And then like there's the other stuff like, you know, obviously you're in a desktop application, which is always nice. Drawing tools. Drawing tools kick the crap out of Figmas. I've got the vector network thing, but that's kind of like much for muchness anyway. The thing where like you have a shape and you want to delete part of it or edit it in a way that's predictable and you just can't. Way more annoying thing. Anyway, I'm waffling. So let's just do. This has all been waffle. If anyone's going to watch this, I'm just doing this for my own fun. So, no, we're going to do this with a shape, haven't we? So we do create a rectangle. We're going to create a new thing. Of course, one BG1, and then of course BG2, and then 2. We have no fill on this, but we do have a radius, right? And we'll update to, okay, right? You with me? And then on rectangle, we're going to turn this into a symbol. There we go, right? Change this back to BG1. So we go into going here, and we'll go into here. We've got 1, and then what we'll do is we're not going to include corners on there. Okay, right, and then we do an override. Does the rectangle itself have? Hang on, rectangle has 2 has rounded corners, but no fill. So if I do, okay, I'm confusing myself here because I'm being dumb. So BG1, BG2, right? But I remove the ability to set a colour override. Oh, that's interesting. But I can still tint. So I could tint that, make that red. Oh, that doesn't tint. Oh, that's interesting. Ah, okay. Well, that is interesting. Yeah, so I don't think I can make. I don't think I can make one which is just corners. Yeah. Right. I'm using the last little bit of this video to talk about the lack of variables. Unstructured means whining. So I do the code, do a bit of the code now and again, you know. Do a little bit of HTML, not really. I can actually code sort of thing. So the concept of having variables in software is not an exciting prospect when you already know how to do the thing, right? And my issue at the minute with variables is the process of creating them is very, very clunky, which is annoying. And also, create collection, of course one like Bill, is there certain scenarios where if you're prototyping, you can change variables, and other times you can't. And you've got this table layout, which doesn't like. So, for example, if I have like, here's a little fun little thing. If you want to do dark mode, this is a way I've been doing it recently, which is quite fun. Is if I've got my button right, and I have to do another frame over here, and I make this the background dark because it's all edgy. There we go. And then yeah, so let's say this is hypothetically this is my button component. Right, so I'm going to call this one, I'm going to get rid of that frame, give it a fill, Dupe. Dupe. Well, I don't keep making things red. Let's make this. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's make it Charlie XCX coloured. God, such a nerd. Right, 100. Make it round, and you are button. Made so many buttons today, haven't we? Haven't we, gangs? Your world. We can words, 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 words. So grab that. Boop. What's that? 12. Make that 16. Let's push the boat out. Anyway, whatever. That's our button. Oops. There we go. Button. Grab that out. Put an instance there. Oops. Instance there. Instance there. So yeah, now with variables, right? If I want to have, like, let's say in dark mode, my button looks different. Right? Let's make it an outline in dark mode. We'll do local variables, create a variable. We're going to course one a Boolean, and we'll course one mode. Why not? Right? And then we're going to come over to I'm going to do create collection, call it colors, right? And I'm going to color, I'm going to add our green. There we go. And course one like BG, right? And let's say in dark mode, it is like, I don't know, let's create another color. So we're creating this separate, let's just say hypothetically, for literally no reason whatsoever, that this has to be that color in dark mode. Okay, so we just course one like blue 100, and we'll course one green 100. Why not? Okay, and then we create a second collection, bear with me, and we'll course one UI colors. Okay, create a variable, color, and we'll course one button / BG. Okay, come up to here. Oh no, I can't do modes. I'm on a free tier. Anyway, if I come in here and I set this to libraries green, right? So that's inheriting from this. Okay. If I've got I'm not paying Figma anymore, so I can't do that now. But yeah, if I shush. Yeah. So yeah, if I have a separate mode here called dark mode, basically when I toggle it, the colors change automatically. There we go. That's the fancy thing I was going to show you, but I forgot I can't do it anymore. But even with that, right, that's really long-winded. I don't know, like, the thing is, with Figma variables, there's no place where it shows you the status changes or the status of a variable in flight. So actually, I think it gets a lot of people in trouble, because there's a thing you do when you code. It's turning into a code lesson now. Aren't you lucky? But yeah, like, we're in HTML. Let's go to like let's do Ruby, because I like Ruby. You don't have to. That's fine. Is that Ruby syntax? No, it's a syntax Ruby. There we go. So yeah, if we're in whatever code language, right, we're going to have our variable. We call it variable equals stuff, right? At any point during our flow, it's a string of stuff. At any point, we can just look at the value of variable, right? We can print it out. We can see what it contains. In things like ProtoPie, for example, you can print these to screen. You can see what it's got inside. You can see how it's changed, and you can see it on screen as things change. In Figma, you just kind of don't, and you can throw them about, and the way you can nest them, and it's like it's a low visibility system, right? And like, complexity is not the thing, right? If we've got, let's come back to my code example. Okay, so if I've got variable stuff, I'll create a function, right? I'll be like def, and I'll be like change thing, right? Which takes thing, right? That's how you write a function, if you know what that is. That sounds really bad, but yeah. So thing. And then thing can be like, I don't know, we'll change this to thing, right? So I'm going to take the contents of whatever thing is, and I'm going to reassign it to thing. And then if I was going to use this, hypothetically, I'd be like, change thing, change thing, come on, there we go, change thing. And then, don't actually need the brackets here, but I'll pass it variable, right? So what I've done now is I've said, I have this thing which changes things. That's the thing I'm passing into it. And with the thing, I'm going to change the thing to thing. And I'm giving it stuff. I have really good visibility of what's going on here, right? This is such a simple, basic example, but like, I've got visibility over what I'm changing and how. That's the point, okay? Inside Figma, the way I've implemented variables, there's no inherent mechanism, visual mechanism, and this can be done. It's not an unsolvable problem to demonstrate how that information has changed over the course. And you can use them in color overrides. You can use them inside, and the main problem is inside prototyping, right, where you can fire off and toggle switches and change variables with prototypes, and you get little visibility over what's actually really happening underneath. So people find it very confusing because you know what it is. And as much as it's inherently quite a powerful feature, it's been implemented in a really half-assed way, to the extent where I think most of the time, in most scenarios, unless you really need to use it, you shouldn't. Basically, yeah, it is useful. You can do a load of stuff. You can set like preset sizes with variables, which is obviously very handy. We've got something loaded. There we go. Hooray! I've inherited some stuff, but that's really handy. It's for centralization. It's really useful, but they rolled out in such a way so quickly, with few safety rails. And the thing with the lack of safety rails is not so much, look at me, aren't I clever? I figured it out. It's that longer tail thing of further down the line, how do you maintain it, right? It's technical debt, or in this type's design debt, right? Where it's giving you a system which you have to explain the specifics of your implementation in a way with little visibility. This is the silliest, simplest implementation of code. And this is a very code realm thing, right? This is like hello world, basic baby level stuff. However, in terms of actual just visibility, I might do something much more complicated, which might require some domain specific knowledge about what I've done. But at least I always have visibility. I have a paper trail. And that paper trail is not obfuscating a separate layer away from the thing that I'm working with, right? I have the images on screen and the variables sit behind it. That's a layer of abstraction which makes it inherently quite hard to reason about, quite hard to get your head around, which makes it really annoying. I think that's the reason why people find variables so annoying, because they didn't do that other half of the system where they've got that visibility on the state changes. And yeah, you might get the odd person like, well, get good, bro, figure it out. It's not about get good, figure it out. It's about sustainability, right? And that's the core of my kind of thing with the sketch dumb way of doing things is there's something kind of good about dumb, because dumb can't get you in trouble, right? You can overcomplicate things in Sketch. You can make things messy in Sketch. There's lots of ways to get yourself in trouble, but variables are kind of implemented quite badly in Figma. And if they do come to Sketch in the way they are in Figma, I really hope they do. I think they are going to do it at some point. I imagine they will. Let's just top off my last thing I'm going to say in this video, because this is spoilers for, I think, a video no one's going to watch this, it's fine. For a video I'm going to make properly about like the actual Sketch versus Figma 6 months down the line thing is, I think Sketch is actually missing 2 features. It used to be 3, now I'm saying it's 2. Up until the other day I was saying it's missing variables. I actually think the more direct workflow for a lot of scenarios can be, in not all cases, better in more occasions than not having variables. I'm not sure it's necessary anymore. At one point I thought it was, and now I'm not so sure, if that makes sense. There's this invitation to over-structure things a lot in Figma, the extra tools. And if you keep that layer flatter, that stratification lower, I think you'll end up with... I've been doing this for a while, right? So like I've made complicated things in Figma and Sketch, big systems, whatever. And I don't remember ever being as frustrated with Sketch. Maybe it's rose-tinted glasses. I'm quite good for not being too nostalgic, and I'm not like much of a rose-tinted glasses kind of person. But I don't ever remember getting as frustrated with Sketch at times as I was with Figma. I think the layout tools used to frustrate me. You know, like the whole, this guy, where is he? This guy? That's annoying as hell to use. Auto layout's better. It just is. But, and this has its uses still. Like, it still exists in Figma as well. There's scenarios. But anyway, my point being, like, yeah, I don't remember ever being as frustrated at Sketch as I have been at Figma. Right? Like, How about you? How many times are you annoyed at Figma? How many times is it joyous working in Figma? Generally, it's not. And I have a much more fun, weirdly. I know fun doesn't, like, we're here to work, whatever. But, like, I have more fun in Sketch. I just do. So I'd like to see if the team go forward. I'd like them to see if they can maintain that. I think they will. I know they know it's important, especially because they haven't got feature parity. There's actually 2.5 features I want from Sketch. First one is a better version of variables. It's so incredibly powerful, but I'd like to see a better thought out version. And it's not impossible. You need a visibility layer on state change. That's all you need to understand and make an extra additional layer you can use to rationalize the status changes of variables or limit their scope. Right, and there's other ways to address the things that are currently solved with variables. It's quite a coarse tool. You know, you could have an entire system of, like, I imagine most people's setup for variables is things like those corner radiuses, those spacings, those sizes. That probably accounts for an awful lot of those uses, those colors, right? That you can achieve that with different tools. It doesn't have to be variables, right? And you could break it down to a bunch of different features, which could be more domain specific, maybe more inflexible, but who knows? Anyway, my point is, if they are to do that route, I would want them to do a better job of it. What they've done with their sort of stack layout thing looks to be a better idea on auto layout, effectively, without all the ceremony of auto layout. Auto layout can be very annoying to work with. And, like, again, default designer reactions, get good, bro. No, it's finicky, it's fiddly. Come on, be real. And you have to remember lots of edge cases, you know, when things don't quite break the way, or, like, you know, like, it's inflexible. Things like earlier on today, I was like, there's no max width in auto layout. It sucks. To replicate the effect of max width, I'll probably find some hacky way around it with loads of nested bollocks. That's really flimsy, or I just don't do it. It's worse than CSS. You know, you can't do... Penpot doesn't suffer as much from this because it's a more direct representation of the underlying CSS, but it sucks. It kind of sucks if you try and push it too far. But then it's a system where, by pushing further, it gets in that uncanny valley thing of, like, being really useful, but actually not being as useful as you think it is because it's not quite there. Whereas, like, you're still producing images at the end of the day, right? You're not actually writing markup. Maybe some people should write more markup. It's not that hard. It's a conversation for a different time. But I'm kind of in team, you should know a bit of HTML. Not be a developer. Not at all. That doesn't work. But I'm team UX person, could do with learning a bit of CSS. A lot of them do. Not all of them, but more probably should. Anyway. Yeah. So yeah, I want to see a better version of that. Also, my other feature is... It's really dumb. It is. It's this. It's selection colors. It's whatever selection colors you've got underneath. It's a really silly feature. This is the feature I miss the most when I'm in Sketch. This is the only thing that... So a lot of the time I spend my time sort of, like, mildly cursing Figma every time it sort of mildly irritates me. Yeah, the only time I ever do that in Sketch is every time I select a bunch of things and I hope to change the colours like this, and I can't. It's really dumb. But yeah, I want to do variables. Auto layout is actually on the way. Prototyping, this is a contentious one. Let's do my last little take on this. I don't think that the prototyping in Sketch should get any better than it is right now. So if you haven't been paying attention, they've really upped their prototyping game. It's not on parity with Figma, but it's so much closer than it used to be. You've got Smart Animate now, or, like, Magic Animate. You have a lot. You haven't got, like, a lot of the like, you know, again, variable changes. You haven't got, like, sound, gamepad inputs. You can't play videos, that kind of stuff. But there's elements of Sketch's prototyping is actually really quite nice. Some of it's quite a bit more streamlined. Some of it's a bit more explicit. I quite like it. I don't think it's perfect. Like, nothing's perfect, but I think going down the route of furthering this arms race of trying to make their prototyping better is a bad idea, because the prototyping in Figma, if you think that Figma prototyping is good, you are wrong. It's terrible. It's bad. It's awful. We've got this thing where you're working on a layer of abstraction. You've got the energy in to the result out, right? And then you've got the other thing of, like, how much do you want to learn, right? And a lot of design people have this tendency to say, I want to use the tool that I use and keep that number of tools as low as possible, because perceived cognitive load somehow is worse than actual cognitive load of making a tool that's not very good at something do something it's not very good at. trust me, that's worse than learning a little bit of something else. So if you have the need of getting, for most things, the prototyping in Figma is absolutely fine. Fine is fine. Fine is good. Fine's great. Love Fine. Fine's awesome. But when people get to that thing where they need to do more advanced prototypes and they really push Figma really hard and make these crazy brittle systems, sometimes it's for fun, but other times people do it to try and achieve it, to not go to another tool. That's the point at which you need to use another tool. Something like ProtoPie or Origami Studio, they're not even the same. There's not even the same league, the same sport. They're just a world apart from the things you can do in Figma. And Figma shouldn't even attempt it, nor should Sketch. I think I would personally put a pause on it. And one thing I really like at the minute is I've been using something called, I can't remember the name of it. It's basically like a prototype thing. Prototype thing? What is it called? Hang on, I'm going to get the name up. I found it via the Sketch plugins thing. The Sketch plugins thing. Overflow. I'd like to see Sketch rip these guys off. So what Overflow is, I think Figma should probably do this as well, it's a good idea, is instead of trying to get more fidelity and quality of prototypes, this is way more useful. You get user flows and prototypes and stories in one go. You sync up frames, so if you have this, like, because FigJam doesn't do this, FigJam should do this, but it doesn't. Really weird. But also, again, that's the thing with Figma at the minute, like spreading their focus away from their core tooling, right? They're a VC-backed company. They need to start paying some of that money back, right? They're in, like, some VCs give you money. It's not just free money. They want return on investment. When things happen and when markets get saturated, when you're priced and set up as a business for this crazy growth, generally that means burning a lot of money and the growth comes later. I think it's called like slam economics or something like that. It's the 2010s in a nutshell, right? You don't have a product. You have like a thing that you're doing and we'll make the money later. We'll like make the money later. Now it's customers. And I think Figma are cash positive as a company, but they're heavily in with VC. They're definitely still owing some money. I think they're in for like, what was it? Like a couple of billion, I think? Maybe more? I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head. Anyway, the point is, they've got a free tier. You, on your free tier of Figma, cost Figma money. You cost them quite a lot of money. They will, and they already are, going to try and squeeze you out and convert more of those people into paid seats. It's capitalism, it's shitification, it's just how it goes. However, the other half of that is diversification, right? You change the number of income streams you have coming into a business, because a diverse income is a safe income, right? You're more insulated from the ebbs and flows of the change inside a single industry if you're in more of them. So if they start doing things like, FigJam is not necessarily an add-on to Figma, it's a Miro competitor, which they're leveraging the fact that they've already probably got a Figma license to then grandfather you into FigJam, which they can then boil the frog, squeeze you, turn the prices up. They've recently announced a change, I think coming in March, where FigJam seats are free for paid Figma seats. They're not going to keep that forever. They're just not. Same as slides, same thing. Like, for years now, I've done, like, I used to use Keynote religiously for doing slides, so Keynote's actually pleasant. I won't touch, like, whatever it's called, the Microsoft One PowerPoint with a barge pole unless I have to. But for, like, a few years now, if I do a presentation, I just do it in Figma, right? You just do. So they built a slides tool. They've made it free while it's in beta. There's the same thing with, like, dev mode as well. Dev mode in Figma kind of sucks ass. Anyway, point is, if I was focused on the actual tooling for the main users of your application, which is another thing that Sketch does really well at and Figma does really badly at, I'll do this. You don't have, this is even more basic than the prototyping tools that exist today. But there's a little bit of drawing stuff to connect everything together. It's an arrow thing, but also you get to have stories. And you can see this as a prototype, you can see this as this flow diagram, or you can look at the story. This would be an insane first-party feature for something like Figma or Sketch. I'm not sure there'll be enough incentive. This would cannibalize FigJam seats for Figma, so it's not something they've already written this part. This isn't Doing this is relatively trivial to draw arrows against things. They're also graphics engineers. They can do this. This would be a great feature to add to sketch prototyping, because the thing that, like, you must have done this inside Figma where you're like, oh, I want to just join these arrows up. Why haven't they introduced the arrow connectors from FigJam in Figma? Again, because I don't think Figma shares any code with FigJam, is my take. I don't think it does. Maybe some. Maybe the renderer. But it also cannibalize FigJam seats if you could just do the FigJam thing, most FigJam thing inside Figma, right? There's no incentive to it. That's why they haven't done it. But yeah, Sketch don't have FigJam. They have Sketch, so they should do this. It'd be a really good thing to do. Anyway, I will carry on talking if you let me, because whatever. But I am going to go and have some dinner, because it's 8 o'clock here. And anyway, if anyone stumbles on this video, I hope you had a nice time. The very unlikely event you saw it through to the end,